Hey everyone. So if you've ever felt, completely paralyzed by a hard life choice, or maybe you just find yourself drowning in the expectations and opinions of everyone around you, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to unpack a really brilliant framework from our source material. It's an explainer designed to teach you how to tune out all that external noise and actually confidently trust your internal compass. We'll be looking at the fascinating mechanics of decision making, and by the end of this, you're going to have a rock-solid, concrete method to make those tough calls.
To kick things off, let's look at a fascinating Buddhist parable from our sources. It asks a question we have all faced at some point, right? How do you escape a toxic environment? Well, the story goes kind of like this. There was once a student monk who was just absolutely fed up. He goes begging to his master, completely desperate to leave his temple and move to a quieter monastery. And why? Because the temple was just filled to the brim with toxic behavior. Some monks were constantly playing politics, others were gossiping all day long, and a few were even spreading negative rumors about him specifically. He felt it was literally impossible to focus on his spiritual life in such a chaotic, negative place.
So the master listens, and he actually agrees to let the student go, but on one very specific condition. He presents the student with this highly visual, physical challenge. He hands the student a spoonful of water and says, "You must carry the spoonful of water all the way around the monastery and bring it back to me. But here's the trick. You must never spill a single drop. If you do this, you can leave." Now, you might be sitting there wondering, how on earth does carrying a tiny spoon of water relate to navigating a toxic environment full of gossip and politics? Well, keep that question in mind as we see what happens next.
Okay, so the student accepts this weird request. He walks the entire grounds, completely hyper-focused, and he returns to the master hours later, just thrilled that he didn't spill a single drop. He immediately demands to leave, but then the master reveals the twist. He asks the student, "While you were walking, did you hear the monks talking politics? Did you hear them gossiping about you?" And the monk replies with this really profound realization. He says, "Master, I was focused on the spoon and didn't have time to listen to all those noises."
And right there, that is the master's lesson. Focus eliminates the noise. The master explains that, look, no matter where you go in this world, you are going to encounter negative people and toxic environments. It's just a fact. But if you are intensely focused on your own larger purpose, your goals, your path, your own personal spoon of water, you simply won't have the mental bandwidth to absorb the negativity around you. Other people's judgments, their words, their behaviors, they just transform into mere background noise. It takes real bravery to focus on yourself and respond to negativity with positivity rather than just getting dragged into the drama.
Now, let's pivot away from ancient parables and into modern psychology, because this concept of focus is deeply, deeply tied to how we run our lives today. Think about this staggering number for a second, 35,000. According to our research sources, that is the estimated number of decisions you make every single day. And yeah, most of them, like hitting the snooze button or choosing what shirt to wear, are made completely on autopilot. But right now, I want you to get a little selfish. I want you to pick just one pending, significant life choice you're facing right now. Maybe it's ending a relationship, maybe asking for a raise, or moving to a new city. Whatever it is, hold that specific decision in your mind as we go through the rest of this explainer.
Okay, let's dive into this. When you are facing a massive decision, you probably experience some of the feelings we're looking at here. You feel stuck, frustrated, sad, disconnected, or maybe just completely numb and on autopilot. And we usually think of these feelings as a bad thing, right? Like something inside us is fundamentally broken. But our sources actually highlight a totally different perspective. These agonizing symptoms are actually healthy, highly intelligent, directional signals. They are literally your internal alarm bells going ding, 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 letting you know that the path you are currently on is no longer aligned with where you're actually supposed to go.
Which brings us to a really powerful definition. We so often talk about intuition as some kind of magical, mystical feeling, but it's not. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a biological GPS. It is an intelligent design hardwired right into your body and your DNA from birth. Just like a traditional compass reads the magnetic energy of the Earth to point true north, your biological compass reads the energy around you. It physically pulls you toward the things, the opportunities, and the people that are meant for you. And on the flip side, it physically repels you, pushing you away from bad energy.
But here is the multi-million-dollar problem. If we have this amazing internal compass, why is making the actual choice so incredibly hard? Well, think of this visceral metaphor. It's basically like driving through a blinding rainstorm with a GPS. The rainstorm represents all your chaotic emotions, the fear, the guilt, the anxiety. The storm is so incredibly thick you can't even see 20 feet ahead of you. But what do? You trust the GPS anyway. You must trust your internal compass to guide you, even when the emotional storm makes it terrifyingly hard to see the road ahead.
To really ground this, let's look at a pretty dramatic dilemma from our source material. A listener wrote in with a truly gut-wrenching situation. He's engaged to be married in just a few weeks, but he shared this quote, "I can't stop shaking this feeling of dread. Deep down, I'm afraid I'm making a huge mistake." He desperately wants to call off the wedding, but he's completely paralyzed. Why? Well, because the invitations are already out, the parents have paid thousands in non-refundable deposits, and he is just terrified of breaking his fiance's heart and disappointing both of their families.
And this illustrates a profound and, frankly, agonizing reality. The right decision often feels wrong. Think about it. The groom isn't actually confused about what the right decision is. His internal compass is screaming at him through that intense feeling of dread. He knows for sure he shouldn't get married. Decision-making is hard, not because we don't know the truth. It's hard because we are absolutely terrified of the emotional aftermath of telling the truth. We're terrified of dealing with other people's disappointment, their anger, and their reactions.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate framework for making hard choices. You have to separate the decision itself from the communication of the decision. Let me say that again. Separate the decision from the communication. Your gut determines what you need to do. Your intuition always knows the absolute truth of what is aligned for you. But you don't act purely on raw emotion. You pass that truth upstairs to your brain. Your brain is what determines how and when to execute the plan responsibly. This builds right into a super practical, step-by-step method. Step 1, settle your emotions. You simply can't make good choices in a panic. Step 2, tune into your gut's direction to find out the undeniable truth of what you need to do. Step 3, ladder that truth up to your brain. And step 4, make a smart execution plan. So for example, your gut might tell you that you absolutely need to quit your toxic job. That's the truth. But you don't just storm into your boss's office and flip your desk that exact same day. No way. Instead, you use your brain to quietly build a responsible exit strategy, saving some money, updating your resume, so that maybe 3 to 6 months later, you can execute that gut decision from a place of real power.
Now, what's really interesting is how this concept totally dismantles one of our biggest fears, the fear of making the wrong decision. What if I told you there are no bad decisions? Even choices you make out of pure necessity, like taking a really draining, stressful job just because you need to pay the rent right now. They aren't wrong. They provide you with essential, real-time data. That bad job is giving your internal GPS the exact contrast it needs to push you closer to your ultimate path. Every single choice is really just a stepping stone giving you feedback on your true north.
So the absolutely crucial point is this. The whole shebang comes down to trust. Remember that selfish, pending decision I asked you to hold in your mind earlier? Deep down, you already know the truth of what you need to do. The noise of everyone else's expectations is just that. It's background noise. The only thing standing in your way right now is courage. So I want to leave you with this provocative final question. Will you trust your own ability to handle the fallout? Because once you focus on your own spoon of water and truly trust your internal GPS, you become absolutely unstoppable. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you, go make that decision today.